Good morning, children. I hope you have seen the previous video where I have explained about the origin of the state and I have explained about the divine origin theory. Right, and in this video, I'm going to explain you about the social contract theory of origin of a state, another theory that prove the evolution of a state. So, divine theory, if you have heard right, and if you have listened to the previous video, you could have understood right that divine theory was totally rejected by the political scientist. That was this theory was totally baseless because it was not dependent on the fact, and they simply regarding in this theory they are regarding religion as the basis, right, children? So we have another theory, the social contract theory of origin of a state, and here, children, you need to be clear about one thing, that social contract theory is being given by three thinkers, by Hobbes, by Rousseau and Locke. Right. So I'm going to explain you one-on-one basis. First of all, the social contract theory of Hobbes, then Rousseau, and then Locke. Right, children? So let's start with the social contract theory, another theory after divine theory to prove the origination of the state. Right, children? Let's start now. So we have the social contract theory. Now, let's see now what is it. Though the traces of social contract theory can be found in the ideas given by several ancient thinkers like Kautilya, its real support came as a reaction against the divine origin theory of state. The social contract theorist held that state was a human institution and not a divine creation. Children, just clear one thing. They simply supported that state was a human institution, not a divine creation. It was a man-made institution. It came into existence through a voluntary contract made by the people. The theory, the advocate, the advocacy, the theorist simply held the view that they simply made this theory out of a voluntary contract. Voluntary means the people that themselves, according to their wishes, came and form a contract. This theory, which had been rejected by both Plato and Aristotle in the ancient time, found big support in the 17th and 18th century, when it was most, supported and explained by several well-known political philosophers. And here the three eminent political thinkers, Hobbes, Locke, and Rousseau, came out with their social contract theory, right? And all of them is strongly supported in different ways that the state originated by means of a social contract. That means they thought that the people made contract and then they formed a state, and that too a voluntary contract, children. Here no one forced the people to form the contract, they themselves were coming together according to their wishes, right, children? So if you see, originally people used to live in a state of nature according to the main ideas of social contract theory, right? So what they said, the social contract theory begins by supporting the view that originally people used to live in a nature state. Now, what do you mean by state? Nature state. The state of nature in which there was present neither a state nor a government. It was a pre-political and pre-social stage according to Hobbes and Rousseau, but according to Locke, it was a pre-political but not pre-social state of nature. Now, I'm trying to explain over here that before the politics ever born, before the society ever born, that means they simply, when they have advocated this theory, it was all much beforehand, right? It was a very oldest theory. Now, if you see, some supporters of this theory like Hobbes held that if it was stage of dictatorship and chaos, right, and the survival of the fittest was the rule. It was a state of continuous war. Naturally, people wanted to get out of it, like, and however, others like Locke held that it was a state of peace and order based on natural rights. Man, as social and rational beings, lived peacefully. However, they felt several difficulties, and for overcoming these, they decided to end this state of nature. Still, others like Rousseau held that initially it was a stage of full freedom, a blissful living of human beings, right? And however, later on, because of the birth of selfishness, property, it became a state of perpetual, continuous property war, and the result came to be the dictatorship and chaos. Normally, people wanted to get rid of it, children. So, this is what a social contract theory is all about. I'm going to explain you more, right, children? So, now, central features of this theory was originally people used to live in a state of nature. Then they formed the social contract. That means end of a state of nature and birth of a state. Now, how come all this happened? Let's see now. For ending the state of nature, children, a social contract was made by the people according to Hobbes. However, while Hobbes and Rousseau held that there was a single contract, Locke advocated that there were two contracts, one civil and another political. According to Locke, the state had its birth through a civil contract and government came to be organized by a political contract. Hobbes and Rousseau, however, held that state and government resulted from a single social contract. Each of these three thinkers gave different versions of the social contract as well as a result of this contract. Right, children? Now we are coming life in the state of nature, everything. Now we are coming to the main theory. Now, children. Now, basically, what is the social contract theory of Hobbes? Let's see now. So, Hobbes has been one of the most profound political thinker of the modern period. He was an Englishman, tutor to King Charles II, and a firm believer in the concept of absolute sovereignty of the state and its ruler. He simply supported kings and the rulers and their sovereignty over their estates, their power over their estate. In his work The Leviathan, published in 1651, Hobbes expounded his social contract theory of the origin of a state. He used it for arriving at the concept of absolute sovereignty of the ruler, and through it he supported the position of the king in the struggle for supremacy between the British king and the British Parliament. Right, children? So here you people have understood that Hobbes supported the king, right, and king's supremacy over the state. Right, children? So if you see now what happened. Now, Hobbes' conception of human nature is like this. Hobbes' social contract theory rests upon his conception of human nature. He did not believe that man was a social animal. He believed that man was selfish. According to Hobbes, selfishness and fear were the two basic faculty of human nature. Fear made him selfish, and selfishness increased his fear. He always felt insecure. He was certain that others were out to kill him, and therefore he must be prepared to kill others. He was an individualist through and through, and he could do anything provided he had the power to do so. Next, Hobbes' view of state of nature. Now, Hobbes' social contract theory began by a belief in the conception of a prehistoric state of nature. He is believed that originally men used to live in a state of nature. It was without a society basically. In it, each man lived as an individual. He was sovereign over himself and his will. His desires and power were his rights. He could do anything provided he had the power to do it, and as such right were his power. There were no external limitation on him. Might was right and survival of the fittest were the rule. Next, Hobbes' view of social contract. Being sick of his life in the state of nature, each man decided to surrender his natural right to govern himself in the hands of a common superior and to obey his command. Each entered into a contract with everyone else. Right, children? Now, I hope so people have understood what is it all about. Like in his work Leviathan, Hobbes expounded social contract theory. The contract was voluntary, made by the people. It was absolutely binding on all, surrendered his power to govern himself. No one has a right to withdraw. Right, children? The sovereign got the absolute right to rule and to provide security to the people. Right, children? So if you see, the contract was voluntary, made by the people for ending the state of nature in which life was a solitary, poor, nasty and short. There was continuous war and a situation of total dictatorship and chaos. Then since the contract was voluntary made, it was absolutely binding on all. Like everyone, started coming together and forming the contract. That means everyone followed with that contract. No one has forced the people to form the contract, children. Each one entered into a contract with everyone else and surrendered his power to govern himself to a third person who became the sovereign. Right, children? Next, the contract was voluntary and continuous. The surrender of governing power to the sovereign was full and final. Next, the sovereign got the absolute right to rule and to provide security to the people. Next, the command of the sovereign were laws, and these were binding upon all the people. They were supported by force of the sovereign power. No one could disobey law of the sovereign. Since contract was full and final, no one had the right to revolt against the sovereign. Right, children? Now, next, if we are in continuation with this slide now, children. Since contract was full and final, no one had the right to revolt against the sovereign. Law was a command of the sovereign, force was the sanction behind law. Hobbes did not make any difference between state and society. Both originated from social contract. Next, liberty according to Hobbes is a gift of sovereign. What the sovereign permits is liberty. What he lays down is law. What he accepts or tolerates is also law. Then Hobbes' theory of social contract involves a justification of the absolute sovereignty of the ruler. His preference for monarchy enjoying absolute sovereignty became fully evident from the text of his Leviathan, the work Leviathan. Next, he said next if you see, in his conception of life in the state of nature and his view of human nature, Hobbes was an extreme individualist. He held that in the state of nature, each individual enjoyed the right to get anything provided he had the power to get his desire fulfilled. There was no limitation on his freedom and action. However, in his theory, contract, Hobbes upheld and strongly supported the concept of absolute sovereignty of the ruler. As such, Hobbes' philosophy contained both extreme individualism and extreme absolutism. As a great system builder, he reconciled these two opposed extreme concepts and made them a two part of his philosophy. So, I hope so, children, you have understood what is the social contract theory of Hobbes. What like I'm describing this, I'm trying to describe the features of the Hobbes contract theory, children. What was his conception regarding the human nature? What was his views regarding state of nature? And what was his views regarding social contract, children? Don't get confused. He has given his views on human nature, state of nature, social contract, and then he has founded his theory, his idea. And what I am reading is that the features, that means this contract, he said ki the contract, the state was evolved through the contract. The people who forms the state has to first of all involve themselves and form the contract, right? And contract was what? Voluntary, made by the people, no one forced the people. Next, it was absolutely binding on all, and each one entered into a contract with everyone else and surrendered his power to govern himself to a third person who became the sovereign. Afterwards, they started surrendering their power to a third person whom they considered the fittest person to govern them, right? And that person was given sovereignty. Sovereignty means internally, externally free from control. That person was at authority, was at power, children, right? Next, the contract was voluntary and continuous. The sovereign got the absolute right to rule and to provide the security to the people, since people has given their right of their right to the third party, right? So this third party, that is the sovereign, that the sovereign party has to value, has to provide them security. Next, the commands of the sovereign were laws, and these were binding upon all the people. Since contract was full and final, no one had the right to revolt against the sovereign. Law was a command of the sovereign, force was a sanction behind law. Hobbes did not make any distinction between state and society, both originated from social contract. Next, Hobbes says that liberty, according to Hobbes, is a gift of sovereign. What the sovereign permits is liberty, what he lays down is law. That means he really values liberty. Hobbes' theory of social contract involves a justification of the absolute sovereignty of the ruler. He simply justified the sovereignty of the ruler. He said the ruler has to be sovereign. The ruler has to be internally, externally free from control so that he can rule over the state. Right, children? And his preference for monarchy enjoying absolute sovereignty. That means he has supported the kings who has the absolute sovereignty. That means absolute control over their state. He is the biggest supporter of the king, children. And in his conception of life in the state of nature and his view of human nature, Hobbes was an extreme individualist. Now, here, individualist, children, what do you mean by that? He held that in the state of nature, each individual enjoy the right to get anything provided he had the power to get his desires fulfilled, children. So, I hope so you people have understood, children, the theory. This theory is still not completed. That means we have to critically evaluate the theories. Now try to understand, children. The theories here are proving the existence of a state. So very first of all, we did divine theory and the critical evaluation of that theory. Then we did the social contract theory. Social contract theory is being given by three thinkers, by Hobbes, which I have already done in this video. Next, by Rousseau and by Locke. So in the next video, I'm going to critically evaluate this Hobbes theory, and then I'm going to start with the next theory, children. So don't get confused. This is another theory that proved the existence of a state. That theory means an idea. What these thinkers believed into, how they tried to explain to the masses the concept of evolution of a state. This is all about in political science, children. So listen to this attentively, right, children? Thank you.